Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to start the discussion by just giving you some ideas and figures about a city, a very small city in Germany, but a wonderful city with a wonderful castle, 3.5 million tourists, and just 145,000 citizens. So you can imagine everybody likes to come to this wonderful city, enjoy staying in the city. But the main message of our city is trying to be a knowledge pearl, a city who uses the knowledge which is available to show the next generation that we can achieve any CO2 reduction target, and that we wanted really to show the next generation that living in a sustainable city means that you really need a full sustainable action plan. Because without such a sustainable action plan, you will never discuss topics which are coming later on about how to finance all these CO2 reduction programs, which costs a lot of money. And I would say, if I ask you to raise your hand, who has no problems of financing his CO2 reduction programs, please raise your hand. So, I think you have no problem. Okay, you're in a lucky situation, then you might be a very rich city, but mostly we as cities, we are very poor. We have not the financial backyard as we need it to fulfill a really sustainable action plan. And we are not talking about a solar panel on a school or a nice project of having an awareness campaign, and that's it. We are talking about a sustainable action plan as it is written in the Covenant of Mayors, where all the sectors, the traffic sector, the classic energy sector, needed to be changed in a new model of a sustainable way of living. This can be driving a Hummer, electro-based, like Arnold Schwarzenegger pointed out this morning, but I think he mentioned a main point. He said you should always try to give the citizens in your region or your city a perspective. And that's exactly what he has done as a governor. And we as mayors, we try to show our citizens a perspective how we can really live in a more sustainable way. And therefore, we first of all have to start by ourselves. So if you're talking about this, you start, what is the energy demand of your city? I was asked 20 years ago, and I have no idea. So we started with a balance, with a huge balance. Where are we at the moment? And we noticed that we, as a city, contribute by about 1 million tons a year. For us, it was really a shock. And this was the beginning of a process. So, rising awareness by showing figures where you are and where you want to go. And this process was financed by the EU. We are very lucky because it was, I think, one of the first, maybe the first European study about a CO2 reduction action plan for a city, which was not very common at that time, before Rio Convention takes place. And when we start this process, we noticed that from the beginning on, because we know that we have just less money, there is a big concept waiting for us, that we need a partnership. And therefore, by installing all these concepts, we already integrated the craft and trade chamber, the industry, the people, the citizens, and asked them, what can we do? I think this was very important at the beginning. Then we had the balance, clear targets, where we wanted to go. The first target was to the year 2050, reduce the CO2 reduction by 20%. Now we have another new targets over the years by 100% CO2-free city till the year 2050. We haven't reached it yet. Of course, we are just buying 100% green energy. Of course, we have reduced our energy demand, not for one municipal buildings, for all municipal buildings by more than 50% over the last 15 years. And we have also installed now a new area in our city, which is, in my opinion, at the moment, the biggest city under construction globally as a zero-emission city. And it's not a few houses, it's a huge area, 200 hectares at the planning, 100 where just 100% passive houses are forced to be used. The rest energy is fed in to this area by a new wood chip power plant, so it's a really CO2-free city. But no money from the Commission. I come to this point later. So if you're dealing with all these topics, you notice that for all these programs, we have a strategy, we have a clear wish, we change the awareness, but starting by school, we notice that awareness is not everything. If you ask a school leader, please take part at the energy team program, maybe you have heard about such programs or you're using this, there was no acceptance. Just a few schools were participating. We have no time, the curriculum is too full, and there was no big change in Heidelberg. After 1 year, I gave the first participants a check, money. The first school got a check about 40,000 euro in the hand. It was a clear deal. 50% for the energy saving for the school, 50% for the city budget. That's what they saved just by changing the awareness of the citizens. No technical solutions. After this, nearly every school wants to participate. We just make a fair deal. Just as an example how quick systems are changing if you're really using these tools. Or having a balance about where are our municipal buildings at the moment. And we noticed lots of them, they're very old. The wind is blowing through the windows, not really, but nearly. And if we want to achieve a European energy standard or our passive house standard, we need a lot of money. So I went to the city council, and the city council said, good program, but no money. So what can you do? The idea was asking Mr. Huber from Siemens and other partners, do you have money? They said yes. And there are lots of other companies who have money, especially small and medium companies in your region and in your city. They wanted to earn money. They wanted to employ people. And that's a wonderful economic power program for our region. So I get the decision of the city council to say, okay, you gave me no money, but you allow me to sign any contract with private companies. That's what we have done. And through this process, we first start with an own contracting paper, which is based on our own knowledge, by our own lawyers, very important, and then just using this. And after having implemented this system, you know, the performance contracting, there were so many companies who said, okay, I need 4 years of the total energy consumption, of the total energy demand you will pay to pay the investment. If we made a 5 years contract, we have 1 year more, it's enough for our company, and after 5 years, you get all the new lighting system back, or the new heating system back, or the new reconstruction parts back. And through this tool, we were able to reduce more than 50% of all the energy demand in all buildings without local money. It's just a contract. Not very easy, a little bit complicated, but you can use it. So if the knowledge is served by the EU, it's a perfect thing to do. The same we noticed when we're coming to new cities. As I mentioned, the new area which we have under construction, it's a passive house standard. This means less than 15 kilowatt hour per square meter a year heat demand. That's 1.5 liter instead of 8 liter. That's the European standard. or the German standard, because it's much higher. It's a compromise. It's not the technical best standard we have here. And if we have implemented this European standard for the new city area under construction, which we have at the moment, we would have more than 20,000 tons of CO2 emissions more than we have it now, by just accepting our own passive house standard. And this was just a decision by the City Council, said yes, we will, and we check if we really get the acceptance by the citizens. And the interesting thing is, we have now a lottery for those who are willing to buy a flat in this new district. Bicycle lanes, a new tramway, green roof, 100% rainwater drainage, and all these are also included in this sustainable project. And by just saying this, it gets more and more complicated if you're dealing with money, but I think it's very important to talk about money and how we can finance this. And for these areas, we have sometimes also the problem to get the financial budget from the EU, not because of EU reasons. They have the structural funds because of national reasons, why sometimes the national administration is not willing to support a local project through the structural funds. So it's getting always very complicated. But I think great chances we have if we sit together, if we stay together and really talk about how we can finance all these big projects, and by just finishing the mass transport system, which is at the moment in plan in Heidelberg, costs another 160 million. Without a subsidy and clear strategy, we will never be able to implement it. So we have to work together, and I think that's just a few information for the later discussion. Many thanks.
Thank you very much indeed.